Continuing to read The Blog Spot by Black Dragon. Goal 2, as you age, you must have a good income. I'm going to repeat the advice of Mr. Steel Balls himself, the immortal Don Steele. The following is not a quote, just my summary. By the time you're middle-aged, and certainly by the time you're old, you need to be making some damn good money. No, you don't have to be a millionaire, although I, Black Dragon, think every man in the Western world should have a net worth of $1 million by the time he's 50. But most of you aren't mentally ready to hear such a radical opinion. So let's discuss that one at another time. But you do need to make enough money where you live in a decently cool house apartment, have a nice car, own some nice clothes, can easily afford to dine in nice restaurants, and perhaps travel a bit. By middle age, you should have some decent investments, have no problems paying your monthly bills, and no major debt issues. None of which I just described requires millions of dollars or a six-figure income. It does require a good income and solid financial management. You need to make decent money. I've been saying this forever. I've also reported the findings of numerous surveys and studies that clearly show that most men aren't truly happy until they make at least $75,000 per year. 50% of all the content in my SMIC program, so he must be selling some kind of like older man PUA type program, I'm guessing, is all about accomplishing this. As I mentioned just last week, being poor damages everything there is about being alpha, and being poor and old is even worse. Don't do it. Goal number 3, as you age, maintain a focus on the youngest women possible based on your age. There are a few things I disagree with Dennis's comment, but the gist of what he says is accurate. But it's not as bad as you think. First of all, yes, if you're 65 years old, you're probably not going to be fucking 19 or 20-year-olds unless you start throwing some money around. I've said this before, and I fully agree this is probably true. Even if you're in the top 15% of 60-something guys, 19-year-old hotties probably aren't going to go there unless you go full-on sugar daddy or hooker John. Yes, there are always unusual exceptions to every rule. But let's talk about who will go there. I know certain men in their mid-50s who are dating women in their mid-20s, and notice how he uses the word dating when he really means fucking. They're dating women in their mid-20s as young as 24 years old. These men are not famous, have had no plastic surgery, and most of them are nowhere close to being a millionaire, but they have followed my above advice. None of them are fat, they take good care of their health, hair, and skin, and they all make decent incomes. So let's say I told you that you could never again have sex with a 19-year-old hottie, but that you could have sex with a 25-year-old hottie all you wanted, as long as you patiently put in the numbers, which you should be doing at any age anyway. Would that make you cry and tear your hair out, or would that be okay? I think it would probably be okay. By the time you're an old bastard, you probably won't even give a shit about that 5 or 6 year difference anyway. Oh my God, this guy is so sick. Let's add another 10 years. Now you're 65. Can you still fuck 25-year-olds? I agree, this might be a stretch, but I still think it's possible. However, if during the prior 30 years you've kept up your appearance and fitness, your income is decent, and you've maintained strong game, you could get with women who are 31, 32, certainly 37 or 39 or 45. I've seen many couples like this, and you probably have too, particularly in larger cities. As a matter of fact, CM just sent me this email a few days ago. Hey, Black Dragon, You'll appreciate this. So my last edition is a 39-year-old divorcee, very artsy and a free spirit type, who will still be rocking out at about an 8 with a great rack. Seeing as she's my oldest ever, I asked her the oldest man she'd ever slept with. She said 60 when she was 24. Some art exhibition director. That's going to be you in 20 years, buddy. Ha ha. Okay, so these ignorant asses are comparing their little fuck buddy stories about how young they can get and about how they are actually making fun of these young women who are willing to get with the older men and using them to prove how they're going to be able to do this. As you see, personality doesn't matter one bit. I continue. The point here is just because you're over 60 doesn't mean you are doomed forever to only date old people, especially if you've taken my advice over the last 30 years and kept your health, appearance, and income at decent levels. Future advances in aging. One last thing about this, and it's a very important point that no one ever considers. Look at some old 1950s movies and observe how old the men in their 50s look. Compare that to men in their 50s today. Tom Cruise looks younger than me, and he's 51. Granted, he's Tom Cruise, so let's look at an ugly man. Jon Stewart, also in his early 50s. If he dyed his hair brown, he would look 35. Hell, Jimmy Fallon is just 2 years off my age, and the bastard looks like a child. Never forget this wonderful secret. Due to technological and lifestyle advances, the more time that passes, the younger human beings look. If you're now 35, you'll be 60 in 25 years, but that doesn't mean you'll look like people who are 60 years old look now. Due to advances in medicine and fitness, you'll look about as old as Tom Cruise does now at age 51, unless you don't take my advice and let your looks go as you age. So if you're 50 or 60 now, then yes, you're stuck with how men who are 50 or 60 look now. Do the very best you can to look as good and young as you can within your genetic limitations. But if you're 40 or 30 or younger, in a strange way, time is actually on your side in terms of how youthful people are becoming. So if you want to live this lifestyle well into your old age, focus on your youthful appearance for the rest of your life. Get your income up, focus on the youngest women you can, and take full advantage of all medical breakthroughs that come your way. Then in your old age, all or most of the alpha lifestyle I talk about will be available to you. Okay, so sorry for that insight. I know it was a very disgusting article. A lot of the things he says are true because we do see younger women going with these older men. And he is explaining what the strategy is for the older man in order to accomplish this. He's giving people advice as if this is the most important thing that they should focus on. This is where he's wrong. He says nothing about learning. He says nothing about giving back to the community. He says nothing about becoming a better person, about developing empathy. He says nothing about any kind of spiritual connection. He says nothing about improving his relationships, developing a close relationship with a partner who is on your same level. He obviously does not agree with long-term or monogamous relationships. He's into having sex with as many women as possible, and he relates that to being alpha. He calls it a human need, as if it's not even just a need to have sex, which it is not, but that it's a need to have variety, a human alpha need to run through several women, maybe have one primary, but he's going to make damn sure that that primary woman, if he ever finds her, does sign a prenuptial agreement, because he's telling her right now that he is not going to be monogamous, period. And that he admits that he would not be monogamous, but only for if the fact that his part no longer worked. Other than that, he's basically saying you're going to be forced into monogamy as an alpha male as you grow older if you don't take care of your own physical appearance and your income level and keep it up. But if you do, then you have all these opportunities to have sex with much younger women on the side. And basically, this is his highest goal is to maintain his physical appearance, and it's not for health reasons necessarily. It's all for the end goal of getting chicks. So he's not interested in keeping up his own body for his monogamous wife or for his own health or for his own confidence. And he's not interested in maintaining a decent income so that him and his wife can live a comfortable life, or so that he can gain some kind of self-esteem from like a job well done and reach the Erikson's stages of, I can't think of it right now, maybe integrity is one of them, that you get in old age as you look back on your life and you say how your efforts actually benefited the world. So this man is completely ignorant, and he's teaching other men who have no idea about psychology, men who do not listen to or read about self-improvement on a deep spiritual level, on a psychological level. He's hitting just the surface, grabbing men's attention with what they focus on most, sex, and misleading, basically the Pied Piper, leading all the little sleeping rats right into the gutter with this nasty, ridiculous, and hopeless kind of message that the only reasons men should focus on their health, physical appearance, and income is so that they can get the youngest chicks possible throughout their life. And he totally shames and actually makes fun of any, quote, betas who would dare to just be monogamous with one wife, because he says it's a human need to have all this variety, and he will never ever become monogamous. He's predicting his own future, deciding that doesn't matter what kind of woman he meets, she could be the best woman in the world, and he could be in deep, deep love with her, but he still maintains that he will never be monogamous because he doesn't believe in monogamy. And I guess he doesn't ever believe that he is capable of loving one woman that much to actually stay true to her and not betray her. And I agree with him. He's not capable. So despite all his looks and whatever his income is, he's definitely not capable of loving one woman and not betraying her. And this is a sick guy, and he's in a position of teaching, and I wanted to talk about his article just so that you can see the kind of information that's out there. And we need to counter this because he's only hitting on the superficial. He's grabbing men's attention who are not educating themselves on the deeper reasons for living, so that when they're on their deathbed, they're not regretting what they did. They're actually looking back on their life and seeing that they accomplished something, and who's going to be at their side. That wife that they did not betray, that wife who loved them, will be at their side. And if they continue on this path, nobody's going to be on their side, not their fuck buddy or anybody else. Thanks for listening.